Welcome to the Infinite Spark of Being podcast. My name is Keith Welsh, and in this episode, we're going to talk about thought transformation and restructuring and how we can use that to move trauma from one side of the brain to the other. Anxiety, ruminating thinking, all that stuff can go. So I'm going to have to explain trauma as well and how the mind works to get through that. And I'm going to try to do this as best I can. Thought transformation and restructuring is something that I facilitate for people, and I wanted to explain it to you guys in a podcast, but I don't want this to be some weird self-serving infomercial for it. So just know that I'm a little self-conscious about it, and so bear with me. I'll try not to get into the weeds. So I'm going to have to explain the mind and trauma, how this all constructs our reality and how we can change it. And again, I'm really trying to keep this from becoming some sort of a weird infomercial, because I feel like those things just don't have much integrity, and I never want to just be some fucking salesy scumbag weirdo to you guys. So I will do my best. But before we get into that, I have to do the salesy thing. Go to the website. There's a participate, donate button. Well, the website is theinfinitesparkofbeing.com. The participate, donate button. If you like this content, if you appreciate it, you can donate money through PayPal or Venmo. I really appreciate it. I would love to get rid of these ads as much as you guys. That's where the Patreon comes in. I know that hearing about a home loan or synthetic breast milk or a mega church about halfway through my podcast kind of sucks. But the way these things work, so when you have a podcast, you have a distributor, right? And if you get a certain amount of downloads a month, you can monetize it where you have ads, and you can charge for the ads. It's very cheap. I'm not comfortable necessarily reading ads. I would hate to have to study, because you don't get to pick and choose in this format, right? I don't want to read a home loan ad. I think that's crazy. So I am kind of looking to, there's certain companies that I would like to endorse, and I'd like to see if they would be interested in doing some sort of partnership. But I would like to make money off of the podcast. I would like to get paid. So that's why those ads are there. You and I together with Patreon could get rid of that. But, I'm trying to make a living like everybody. I feel weird about it, but this whole episode is going to be weird. So I'm just saying all of my unnerving shit to you. Because that's my way of dealing with something difficult is if I'm uncomfortable, I'm just tell you why I'm uncomfortable. So anyway, the participate button takes you to Patreon. There's a $1 tier and a $5 tier. Those are support and kindness donation tiers. And those folks have been with me for years, and I love you and I appreciate it. Because you get nothing out of it. You just give me money, which is really cool. You get content, but... So then there's the journey tier. That is the first Wednesday of every month, online gathering. It's a group that I facilitate. We get into things like meditation, spinal breathing, reincarnation, language, stuff like that. You'll notice a lot of times these podcasts correlate to the topics of the groups, because it just helps with getting everybody on board with stuff. Also, so that's the $10 a month. The $20 a month is the awake tier. That's where we take stuff from the journey tier and maybe go a little bit deeper into the esoteric meanings of some of these things, but not just stay in esoteria. Sometimes, sometimes it's fun to play in it, but I'm more interested in how do we apply these things to our everyday life, whether it's allegory or whatever. If it doesn't have any practical purpose, sometimes it can be a bit useless in my mind. I don't want to just give you guys a fun, blissful experience. I want you to learn something. I want your lives to change. Your lives to change. So that's the awake tier. Then we have another tier. This is the new tier, and this is something that I'm personally elated about. It's the insight tier, and in this tier, we are going to start with the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, you can stay with the Gita for years. I've been reading it on a loop for 27 years. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the allegory, we're going to look at the deeper meaning of it, and we're going to look more importantly at how this applies to our lives. How do we change the way we experience reality through this beautiful book? Bhagavad Gita means Song of God. Again, this is the most important book in my life. It has changed my world completely. Anytime I get a chance to talk about it, I go crazy. So now I have a whole group dedicated to it on the second Wednesday of every month. So Journey tier is the first Wednesday, the Awake tier is the third Wednesday, the Insight tier is the second Wednesday. I know, back and forth, but that's the way it's going to be done. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So if you're interested in deepening your yoga practice and really getting into the actual Vedas and understanding the literature, you have a meditation practice or asanas or whatever it is, and you want to go deeper, the Gita is the book. The Bhagavad Gita is the true owner manual for life. It is the real instruction manual, in my opinion. It's not long, it's very concise. But there's some really deep stuff there, and it really goes deep, and there's a lot of layers to it, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's enriched my life beyond expression. So, okay. I'm not going to get into the about button because this is going to be a bit of this podcast is essentially about the about button. So if you click it, there's those testimonials. Those people are people that have done thought transformation and restructuring with me. That's 3 of hundreds of people. I've kept track of people over the years, hundreds of them through a certain Facebook group. Check in with them every so often to see how everybody's doing, make sure everything's stuck and stayed, so that I know that what I'm doing is going to create lasting change. Again, I'm not interested in just taking your money and, if it didn't work, telling you that you weren't ready for it. You don't have to be ready. If it works, if it doesn't work, it's me, it's not you. So what I've done is an hour, 2-hour session at the very most, and we take the trauma, stuck data, anxiety, ruminating thinking, and we move it into a place where it either stops or it no longer affects the nervous system. That's the real problem with traumatic experience, is that the nervous system gets turned on. And so let's get to this. Okay, I've been behind some cyclists and they just hit the finish line. I'm crossing the finish line with them, and I am just thrilled because there are cop cars and a parade of what looks like sponsored superheroes on bicycles. Okay. The mind is an experience. It's not a thing, right? We know that. Now ask yourself this: when you remember something bad, your body feels bad. Why would your body feel bad if you're simply recalling and remembering something bad? Well, that's because the mind believes that everything that it thinks, everything that it perceives, however it perceives it, whatever it remembers, it believes that it's real and happening in time, in that moment. And we all know that that's simply not true. I don't know why now the police have their sirens on, so I'm sorry for the noise. This is wild. There's so many cyclists down here. And I know that I talk a lot of shit, but I could easily see me getting into it, because it does look like fun, but I don't know. Anyway, so it seems dangerous as shit is what it seems like to me. Okay, so when we remember something bad, sorry, I'm just really tight about doing this episode, and I wish I wasn't. I just am, so I probably seem a little like off, but let's just get through it. It is an important episode. So when we remember something bad and we feel bad, like the body physically feels bad. Now, you got to understand there's a difference in how you feel and what you think. It's like, I feel that this is stupid. No, you think it's stupid. You don't feel it's stupid. So this accuracy in language, I can be a bit of a stickler for it, but it's important to me because language is a series of symbols that creates our reality. It tells the body how to feel about what we're experiencing. So it is important. And in our culture, especially right now, we just say shit. We call things whatever the fuck. We say whatever the fuck, and that's just the way it is. And no wonder it's all jacked up. But we remember something bad, the body feels bad because the mind believes that what it is thinking about is real in that moment. So what's happening is stimuli occurs. The subconscious goes, oh, this is like that other thing that happened before. It's happening again. So the nervous system turns on, it's quote unquote triggered, and it feels a thing. And then the conscious mind is being told by the nervous system how to think about it. So the conscious mind starts to go, this is dangerous, this person's bad, this isn't gonna work, and now we have our experience. We have our quote-unquote reality, right? And in those moments, we're not concerned. We don't wanna hear about someone else's point of view, so we look for people to confirm this reality. So that's what's happening. When you remember something bad, your body responds to it. Remember something good, your body responds to it. That's because the mind believes that what it is thinking is real and true and happening. Now, when someone says to me, well, it doesn't bother me unless I think about it, or I'm reminded of it, well, why would it be bothering? Why would your body respond to it? Well, because it was really bad. Yeah, but why? Then the other one's, oh, well, because so it doesn't happen again. Well, I'll tell you, in my experience of 13 years of child abuse, the cortisol and adrenaline that I experienced every day didn't prevent fuck all from happening again. So you can drop that fallacy. And I can tell you, in my experience, cortisol and adrenaline can help save your life. But if you don't need your life to be saved and you're just experiencing cortisol and adrenaline, you're living a very tight, annoying life. And like I've said before, my subconscious, my operating system was loaded with data that was saying, look, the world is dangerous, everyone's a threat, everyone's an adversary. So that prompted my conscious mind to think in those terms, which then means that I start acting aggressive. And every time I acted as if those feelings were true and those thoughts were real, then that means that I'm doubling down on this and making it worse. I was aggressive because I felt that I needed to be, and since that was the case, the part of my mind that was experiencing that was just doubling down on it. That's not helpful. That makes your life unlivable. I just let the guard guy know that I was turning around. He's all too happy to run out and take money for parking at the beach. So that's a problem. And that's how the mind is working. So we got that piece. Okay, good. The problem is that the mind believes everything it thinks is real and that it exists and it's happening, and it's not. Now, trauma. So the word trauma is a problem because there are people traumatizing things can occur, like traumatic events can occur, but you are not necessarily always traumatized by them. I've seen this millions of times where, not millions, but literally thousands, where something happens and they're like, look, that was the facts of the job, whether it was a cop or a detective or a special forces guy or a regular vet, that their therapist was shocked by the story. So the therapist was like, well, you must be suppressing this and they're like, no, I'm just okay with the logic of that. That's not why I became a drug addict. Or what happens is there's all these crazy stories, and the one that you think is going to be the crazy one isn't the one that really fucked with them. It's this little weird one that fucked with them. So trying to figure out what is traumatizing, what's not, is good luck. It depends on the person. There's stuff that's happened to me that if I told you, you'd say, holy shit, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, whatever. But then there's other things where you might poo-poo it, but it really fucked me up. So traumatic things can happen that don't traumatize people. Non-traumatic things can happen that do traumatize people. So you don't know. So I can't tell you how many people have sat down and like, look, I didn't know if I should call you because, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, what do you mean it's not that bad? And they're saying that for my benefit because they're afraid I'm going to judge their experience. I'm not. I had a fellow that was an F-16 mechanic, and he would be in these veterans groups that I was running, and he would never share, he would never talk, but he had developed OCD due to his time in the Air Force. One day he said, hey man, can I get a session with you? Because I was working in a 30-day facility, and I was like, sure. So we sit down, and he goes, I wasn't in combat. It wasn't, I wasn't really traumatic. It wasn't traumatic, but I need to tell you what happened. Well, okay, so he was one day, there was a problem with the plane. He was told by his superior officers to make this repair to an F-16. He didn't have the tools or the means to do it, and they didn't care. They said, do it anyway. And he's like, you don't understand. I can't do it. Well, the problem with this is when you repair one of these things, your signature goes on this repair for 6 years. And if anything happens to the pilot, the co-pilot, someone on the deck, anything related to this repair and this plane, your ass is on the line. So he lived years waiting for the hammer to fall. Developed OCD over it, obsessive compulsive disorder. I know some of you think you have OCD because you like all of your black t-shirts, your white t-shirts together in your closet. That's not OCD. You're anal retentive. OCD is like crippling rituals that keep you from going to work. Like, this is serious stuff. And it's a little pet peeve of mine is when someone says, oh, this is my OCD, when they don't really have it. You're dismissing or like minimizing the people that really do have it. So please watch your mouth. You don't have OCD. You don't truly believe your children are going to die if you don't organize your t-shirts. So anyway, we sat down. He explained the whole process to me, and I go, look, dude, like, you're stressing me out with this shit. So let's clear it. We cleared it. His OCD gone, all of it gone, sleeps through the night, yada, yada, no sleep meds, doing it, killing it. Goes to the veterans group, shares, for the first time, and everyone in the group, these are Rangers, SEALs, combat veterans, people that have seen some wild shit, they're all like, dude, just so you know, that's fucking stressful. And there was some pilots in there that were like, you don't understand, we appreciate what you guys do so much. So this thing where people don't believe that their trauma is really traumatic or that the thing that they're stuck on is that big of a deal, it is. If it's changing your life, it's a big deal. You don't have to live like this. This is the thing that gets me, and this is why I do what I do. You don't have to fucking suffer. You don't have to live like that, man. You don't have to not sleep. You don't have to fucking freak out every time a door slams. You don't have to sit with your fucking back to the wall all the time. You don't have to live like that. But the fear of having to go through these things and talk about them is big also. With me, you don't have to tell me everything that happened. I mean, sometimes people do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I have no idea what the thing was. They don't tell me till after we're done and they can talk about it. But what we're doing is we're taking, so these events happen, these traumatic events, these stuck data, these big things happen. It's a lot of information. The mind can't process it. So let's say, so to speak, it's to give everybody kind of something to think about. Imagine that it is stuck in the subconscious mind on the right side of the brain. So the subconscious is outside of your conscious awareness. You don't know what that thing does. It's just doing it, and it's presenting the world to you. Now remember, when you think of something bad, you remember something bad in your conscious mind, your body feels bad. Well, this is running on a loop in the subconscious in the right side of your brain, so your body is always responding to it. You feel anxious and tight all the time because in your mind, this is still happening. That's fucking nuts. And then if you consciously think about your mind of it, oh my God, we go through the roof. So what we're doing with this process is we're taking it from the right side of the brain and moving it to the left. All of you EMDR therapists, or those of you that have been through EMDR, you're like, that's what EMDR does. That's what a lot of things do. But EMDR doesn't make it stick. I'm not going to get into like the weeds about my problems with EMDR, but those of you that have had EMDR that it didn't work on, my thing will work. What I do will work. If your EMDR session wasn't shit and you don't want to revisit it and sit, they left you sitting in that bad event and they left you there and sent you home without buttoning you up, that won't happen with me. It's not going to happen. I can do it virtually. I can do it in person. If you want to fly me to you, I'll do it in your face. Whatever you got to do, let's do it. But you don't have to live like this. And I know EMDR was frightening, and it shouldn't have been, but it was. Because you had some wackadoo baby therapist that got certified in it with no experience. Maybe you went to a treatment center where they had all the therapists certified in it so they could bill the insurance companies. That won't happen with me. It's not going to happen. I get so pissed off about this shit. I promise you, I won't hurt you. I will not re-traumatize you. That's another term that isn't real. You don't have to tell me what happened. You are going to have to remember what happened. But I promise you, you will leave the session feeling better than you did when you first sat down. I promise. And I'm confident in making that claim. I'm respectfully confident. And I'm not disrespectful and cavalier, but look, think about it. You're not going to be the one that can't get help. One of my, if you listen to the Casa Dega episode, and Reverend Margaret Schmidt said, you do something that's like hypnosis, but it's not hypnosis. You're like a psychologist, but you're not a psychologist. She was talking about this when she mentioned the veterans. A couple guys messaged me that are listening to it. These are vets that I worked with, and they're like, holy shit, she nailed it. But one of them is my friend Mike Murphy. Mike listens to this podcast, so hello, Mike. He started out as a client, model client, Marine, combat veteran, traumatic head injury. I don't know if he knows, maybe he does this. I think we talked about it, but his email to corporate is kind of what gave me the opportunity to do more of the work I was doing. In his email, he said, I've done 14 sessions of EMDR and I still have PTSD and I still have these problems. I did one session with Keith and it's gone. And that allowed them to take notice, but what I do is not evidence-based. It's not evidence-based, and the insurance companies won't pay for it, so it's out of pocket. So it's not popular with a company that wants to bill insurance companies. To talk about what it means to be evidence-based, those of you that have been through EMDR, that it didn't work, those of you that might be EMDR practitioners listening to this and have been unsuccessful, I'll tell you why. When they created the evidence-based protocols, those protocols aren't what you're doing. I'll just tell you. I know more about EMDR than the average EMDR therapist. You're not doing it right. I'll just tell you that straight up. The reason it didn't work for that patient, that client, whatever, you didn't do it right. You're also not following the protocols. Here's the problem with protocols. The fact that there are protocols shows me that it's not going to work for everybody. What's a protocol? It's a policy. It's an equation. Well, everybody's not the same. It's not going to work for everybody. You can't do it the same way every time. You have to let go of the side of the pool and swim out to the deep end. You're going to have to lose sight of land and get out in the deep water. And I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable going into deep water with your clients, but you're going to have to. Do you notice that when you cry at your therapist's office, they hand you tissues? Probably because they're uncomfortable with your emotions. You cry in front of me, I'm just going to look at you. If you want tissues, go find them, but I'm not uncomfortable with you being sad. I think you should cry. I think it's great. I think it's good for you. But, oh wow, it's a nice paddleboard. Anyway, sorry, squirrel. That's a really nice board. Shit. Man. So, yeah. It's not working because not everybody's the same, and you don't get the luxury of just checking off boxes when you're dealing with somebody's trauma. You're going to have to actually go into their emotional field. You don't know what that is. You went to EMDR school. But you're going to have to go into the emotional field and sit in it with them. You're going to have to cry with them. You might have to share. You might have to, reveal some of your own stuff. I know they hated telling you that, and you're not supposed to do that. When you go to college to be a therapist, you don't reveal your personal stuff. This isn't about me. This is about you. Shut the fuck up. It is about you. The reason it works for me, the reason my clients heal, is because I tell them, hey, look, this is what happened to me. I don't get into the nitty gritty, of course, but hey, I'm just like you, you know. Oh wow, they stopped. Cyclists stopped for a pedestrian. I am shocked. That's what all the yelling just was. Yeah, it didn't work because you tried to stay at arm's length from your patient, arm's length from your client. You can't do that. You got to get in there with them. But yeah, if you guys want to meet with me one-on-one, maybe you want to deepen your meditation practice, start a meditation practice, start a spiritual practice, get into it. You want to spend some one-on-one time with me, email me. Go on the website, email me. If you want to do this thought transformation, restructuring stuff, you want to, look, call me. We can talk for free. I'm not going to bill you for consultation. We can talk about it. If you feel like you want to sit with me and do that work, we can do it. We can go through your entire life and move all of it. I'm honored to do that work with people. I take it very seriously. We are sharing. I'll sit in your pain with you. I'm not afraid of it. That's it. This was a weird episode. So you'll notice this is available on Mondays at 5 a.m. now. This is the episode I'm using to transition into that new schedule. So I figured it'd be a good time to do that. This one came out on Friday, and this will be out tomorrow. So, all right. You guys helped me. You guys taught me, and now I'm helping and teaching you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And sign up for that Insight tier. Sign up for any of them, but I'm really excited to get into the Gita with people. And you'll have access to all three. That was the other thing, is you have access to all three groups. So as the tiers progress, obviously, like, $10 is one group, $20 is two group, $30 is three groups. If you want to participate in it, but you don't want to sign up for Patreon or subscribe, one time through PayPal or Venmo, $20, you're good. All right, I love you. Bye.